What's up everybody, this is Danny and I've been using the Samsung Galaxy S6 and the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge for about a month now, but I've been using the S6 Edge variant a lot more lately. Now I get a lot of questions about this. How different are these two really, and is it really worth the $100 extra price tag? Well, let's go ahead and find out right now. This is the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge, and this is the more radical design of the Galaxy S6 this year, for there were two models, the regular S6 and this Edge variant, which is kind of a carryover from the Galaxy Note 4 Edge, which had this design with the curved screen, but it was only on one side, but the Galaxy S6 Edge this time has it on both sides. When it comes to design, this is probably the most striking phone that's on the market right now, and when you look at it in person, you will definitely notice it. Now, what's the difference between the Galaxy S6 Edge and the regular Galaxy S6? Well, there's not a whole lot of difference here. The differences really mainly lie in how the device is built. The curved displays on the side differentiates the way that the metal meets the glass, and if you look at the Galaxy S6, there is more metal on it, giving it a much smoother feel in the hand, and I prefer this actually to the Galaxy S6 Edge because that metal strip is very thin on the sides and it can be very sharp when you hold it, but it does give you that illusion that this is a razor thin device. After using the Edge for about a month, I still prefer the way the Galaxy S6 feels in the hand versus the Edge. And like I pointed out before, the metal feels very weird in the hand. That strip is very thin, it's a little bit sharp, it kind of digs into your hand, and I think it's a little bit slipperier in the hand than the regular Galaxy S6. Even though still I think the S6 Edge is a better looking Galaxy S6, I think raw feeling in the hand, I'd rather have the regular S6 because of the way it feels. Now the glass is just as slippery on both, and you do get the fingerprints and all of that, so that is going to be the same, but when it comes to everyday use, I prefer the S6. In the end, this is definitely a preference issue, so if you're interested in buying one of these, go to the store and feel both of them in the hand and see which one you like best. Now there's a little bit difference where the SIM card tray lies and things like that, but your speaker and all your ports, everything is pretty much the same. You get the exact same 5.1 inch Quad HD Super AMOLED display, the same 8-core Exynos processor, you get the exact same quick charge capabilities with wireless charging, and then you also get the same awesome 16 megapixel camera on the back, and this is hands down one of the best cameras on the market today. This is a very reliable camera, and usually I take my iPhone with me everywhere just to get better pictures than most Android devices, but the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge are absolutely phenomenal. This double tap on the home button to launch the camera is super convenient. I use it all the time, and the shutter is nice and fast, so you shouldn't miss any type of photo opportunities. And the modes are all congregated into one now, which I really like. They kind of cleaned up the software, makes it a little bit easier to use. So if you're a little bit more of a tinkerer and you want to get a little bit more out of your photos, then this Pro mode is pretty awesome. You can change the white balance, the ISO, have manual focus, and change the exposure as well. So I found myself using this a few times, but you do not have to, because when you just shoot on auto mode and auto HDR, the results are awesome. The images are super crispy, lots of vibrancy, full of detail, so I don't think you'll be disappointed in this camera whatsoever. It's got a great macro mode, it does decent in low light, and the 4K video recording off of this device is absolutely phenomenal. I made a little video about the capabilities of this 4K camera, so I will leave that linked in the description section below and make sure you watch that. A lot of people have been asking me, what about the performance on the S6 Edge? And after you use the phone for about a month, things can get bogged down and things can stutter, but the Exynos processor here does a very good job. I have not noticed many slowdowns. Now, it's not a perfect device, but it is definitely the smoothest Samsung device, and you should not be worried about performance at all because things are still snappy after all this time. It tends to get a little warm when you're doing some processor intensive stuff or watching a lot of video or streaming lots of data, but a lot of that is just minor gripes. But the display is probably the best display on the market still, and I love this display. It is so punchy, it's vibrant, deep dark blacks, and just everything looks so crispy and so lovely on this. I love using this display, but there are some little minor gripes with this display, especially on the Edge variant, and let me show you some of those. Because the display is curved on both sides, it depends on where the light hits it, but a lot of times you get that nasty glare right there on the corner, so that can be annoying. And then when you're going through the UI interface or viewing some things, you can see some distortion there on the corners. And it's not a huge deal at all, but I just want you to be aware of it because sometimes it gets a little bit annoying, but you do get used to it over time. The next gripe, and probably the biggest gripe about the S6 Edge in my 1 month use, is the inconsistent battery life. And I'm getting about 3.5 hours of on-screen time with about 10 to 12 hours use. It just depends on how I'm using the device. But I found myself using the wireless charging in between to kind of bump up my charge. So sometimes this phone would die right around 8 o'clock or so, especially when I'm playing a lot of video games or doing some processor intensive stuff or watching a lot of YouTube videos. I like to keep my screen on at least 50 to 60% because I have to enjoy this beautiful display. So when it comes to gaming though, the Mali GPU actually does a very good job. Even though it's not as powerful as its Adreno counterparts, it still does a great job with video gaming. So if you're a gamer, you shouldn't have any problems playing games on the S6 Edge. So what I suggest you do is to get a external battery pack for on the go. It's really helpful, especially when you're running out of battery. My favorite one right now is this Aukey Quick Charge 2.0 compatible external battery pack. It's 10,000 milliamp hours and it takes full advantage of that Quick Charge 2.0 that's built into the Galaxy S6 Edge. So you're gonna be able to get about 50 to 60% charge in just half an hour. So on an external battery pack, that's pretty awesome. The curved edges on both sides aren't just for looks. There is edge lighting, people edge, and you can also use this for information and notifications, and you can also use it as a night clock, and you can choose the left or right side to show you that information. Out of all these features, the one I used the most was People Edge. It's very natural for you to swipe over and to get a list of your favorite contacts. I think this is the best way to use that Edge display, for it felt the most natural to me. An extension of that feature is edge lighting. So what you do is you pick a color with that contact, and if they call you, then you can see what color flashes underneath, and you get to choose if you want to pick up that phone call or if you want to ignore that. And it's a cool feature, but I didn't find myself using it very much because I don't usually lay my phones on the surface like that because it can scratch the screen. So what I ended up doing was I ended up using a case most of the time, and the device feels really sharp in the hand, so I ended up using the Spigen Neo Hybrid. What that does is it keeps that edge screen accessible, and now I can flip my phone upside down without scratching the display. This is just my personal opinion, but I think this phone feels better with the case on. So let me know if you guys are using a case on your Galaxy S6 Edge. Here are the other features just to show you. If you kind of rub against that edge that you picked, you do get the time, the battery, and then you can also get your notifications and some news. But I never ended up using this. I just don't think it's very practical. And if you want to, you can use it as a night clock if you want, because it only lights up that part of the display. So you shouldn't worry about your battery life at all, but I also didn't use this at all. Otherwise, no other complaints. The phone call quality and data connection has been extremely strong on the Verizon network. I'm using the Sprint one right now. And the fingerprint scanner is much improved. It works really well. And the expandable storage, that could be a problem for a lot of people. It wasn't for me, but it comes in 32, 64, or 128, and you have to buy those options, and that's pretty annoying. But that about does it for me with the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge review. Let me know what you guys think about this. I don't think this variant is really worth the $100 increase, but let me know what you guys think. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Follow me on Twitter @SuperScientific if you have any questions, and I will see you guys in the next video.